Hey guys, welcome and welcome back to another YouTube video. I will walk you guys through the process of making this top. I think I'm gonna make a set, but not to promise anything. It might be a set because I have enough yarn. So I think it's just an excuse for me to make another set because I'm obsessed with sets. Two-piece sets are just my favorite. We are going to be making another one, so I'm gonna walk you guys through the materials and the measurement needed because I always love to show you guys how to take the measurement. Just in case you're a beginner, you don't know how to, this is the video for you. I will be using this medium weight here, and the color is super cute. It is acrylic, 100% acrylic yarn, and one of this is 100 gram. At the end of the video, I'll let you guys know how much I used. The recommended crochet size is a 4.5, but for this video I am using a 2.5 and then 4 millimeter, just so you know. You're also of course going to need some measurement tape and scissors and maybe some stitch markers. Just grab those because sometimes you never know. So the first measurement you will be needing is your desired length, and this is basically how long you want the top to be on you, how long you want yours to be. So you're going to grab your measurement tape, and I usually start from my shoulders, pass the measurement above and not to the side, above, and I'm just going to take the measurement to wherever I want this to actually stops. I think mine is going to be 16. I already decided on that. Next one, which is the next important, most important measurement, is going to be your waist, and this waist measurement is if you want yours to be at the waist. So if you don't want it to be at the waist, you want to make it longer, honestly I wouldn't suggest because then it might actually just kill the entire style. So we're going to stick to the waist measurement. You're going to just grab the yarn, so basically wherever you want yours to stop, you're going to grab the yarn and go across that part of your body, right? So let's say for mine I want it to stop right under my bust area, so not right immediately right after, just a little bit downwards so you guys can see what I'm doing. I'm just going to grab the measurement tape and put that across that part of my body because that is where I want my top to land, and then that is the measurement I'll be needing, and you're going to take that measurement. Keep those measurements. I'll just suggest you write them down so you can always go back to them and check them. The next measurement you're going to need is going to be how deep you want the front panel to be, right? So because we have a little collar going on at the front, you guys have seen, so you're going to just grab the tape, and I usually like to take this measurement from my shoulders, and wherever I want the depth to be, my neck depth to be, I'm just going to stop right there. And I think for the sake of this pattern, I'm going to stop at 10 inches for my pattern. You can obviously go longer if you want it to, if you want the depth to be a little bit longer, but I think 10 inches is perfect for me. The next measurement you will be needing is your armpit hole measurement, because obviously we are going to later on leave a gap for the armpit. So to do that, I usually just grab the end of the measurement tape and just make a tiny circle so I can pass my arm through that circle, and this is going to help me. And you can easily just adjust the circle again if you want to go for a tight fit, or if you want to go for a loose one, you can also adjust this again and make it bigger. But you're just going to go ahead and do this. I also suggest you lift your arm a little bit just to make sure it's not super tight, and you will be able to lift your arm when you finish the piece. And then finally you're going to need your arm width, because wherever you want the sleeve to end, so I think mine is going to stop right here, which means I am going to just go ahead and take the measurement of wherever I want my sleeve to eventually stop, and in my case it's going to be 12 inches. You also don't want to make that super tight, because if you do, it might get a little bit uncomfortable, and I'm sure you don't want your piece to be uncomfortable on you. So I'm going to make a slip knot, and I will chain a total of 16 chains. And this is what it should look like afterwards. A 16 chain in this case is about 3 inches. So if you want yours to be longer, you can make more chains, and if you want yours to be shorter, you can make less chains. From here on, we are going to start with the after hook crochet in the second chain. So you're going to yarn over, skip the very first chain, and into the second you're going to go with your after hook crochet stitch, and you're just going to yarn over and repeat one after hook crochet until you get to the very end of the row. Because I chained 16, at the end I shall have a total of 15 after hook crochet stitches. So to get started with the second row, you're going to chain 1 and turn, and this time around we're going to be working in the back loop of this previous stitches basically, and this is going to give you the elastic band look for the band. So you're going to yarn over, go into this back loop. Usually you have the front and the back. You're going to go into the back with after hook crochet stitch, and you're going to just go ahead and repeat one after hook crochet stitch into the back loop until you get to the very end of the row. And as always, you want to count your stitches, so you make sure you have the same amount of stitches you had at the very first row, because you're not increasing and you're not decreasing, so you want to keep the same amount of stitches for the entire band. And at the end you should have this. For the next row you're going to chain 1 and turn, and we are going to just go ahead and repeat row 2 for the next row. So you're going to yarn over, going to the back loop of that previous row with one after hook crochet each, and this is what you're going to do until you have your desired measurement, basically your waist measurement. That's what you're going to do. You're going to repeat this band method until this is wide enough to go around your waist, and I'll see you guys when I have mine complete. So I just finished my waistband measurement. I did a total of 36 rows for reference. You're just basically, like I said, going to repeat the band until you have this, and this should be the exact measurement of your waist measurement that you did take if you decide to make yours to waist length. So now you're just going to fold both sides, two ends, and you're going to single crochet. Carefully single crochet the two ends together with a slip stitch or a single crochet. You're honestly just going to do whatever is convenient for you. So I usually just use a single crochet because I just love the outcome of a single crochet. So I'm just going to go into every stitch on both edge of the band, and I'm just going to single crochet these two together. So do that, and I'll see you guys with the next step, because now we are going to actually start the fun part, which is the mesh part. It's super fun. Hey guys, so right here you should have your band single crochet together, the two ends. So you can see that my yarn is still attached. So we are going to flip this over, because now we are going to start with the foundation row. I'm still going to continue to use my 2.5 for this step before we switch over to the 4 millimeter. So to get started with the foundation row, all you're going to do is you're going to chain 1, and for this first row you're going to just basically go into every available space around the band with a single crochet. So to get started, I'm going to go into this very first available space with one single crochet, and from there on I'm just going to go ahead and do one single crochet in every stitch across. You want to make sure you're not increasing, like I always say. I'm just going to insert one single crochet into every available space. I'm not increasing, so I don't want a gap in between each stitch, but at the same time I'm not going to insert two single crochet in one available space, right? So that way I just have a very basic foundation base. So I'm going to repeat this all around, and I'll see you guys at the end. Right here I'm coming to the very beginning where I did my first single crochet. What I'm going to do to end off, I'm going to find the first single crochet and slip stitch right into that stitch. And right there I just ended off my first row. So after slip stitching into that very first stitch, we are now going to switch from a 2.5 to a 4 millimeter, and we're going to start the actual pattern. So from here on you're going to go ahead and chain 4. After chaining 4, you're going to skip 4 single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, And into the fifth, you're going to go with a double crochet, and a double crochet is basically yarn over, insert your crochet hook into that stitch, grab the yarn, pull through. You have 3 loops. You're going to yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops, yarn over and pull through the last 2 loops. Again, a double crochet is basically yarn over, insert your crochet hook into that stitch, grab the yarn, pull through 3 loops, grab the yarn, pull through the first 2, grab the yarn and pull through the last 2. So right there we just have 2 double crochets into that same stitch. So you're going to insert another additional double crochet right into that stitch. So right after your third double crochet, you're going to chain 3, and you're going to insert 3 more double crochets all into that very same stitch. And this is what you should have. From there on, you're going to chain 2, and you're going to skip 6 single crochet stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and right into the 7th stitch I am going to repeat the same thing by going with 3 double crochets, chain 3, and 3 more double crochets all into that same double crochet stitch. And this is what you should have right after. From here on, you're going to chain 2 again, skip 6 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and right into the 7th you're going to yarn over, insert 3 double crochets all into that same 7th stitch, chain 3, and insert an additional 3 double crochets all into that same stitch. And you're just going to chain 2 and repeat this pattern until you get to the very beginning. Guys, so right here I'm coming to the very end of the panel. We are going to go ahead and slip stitch right into this chain 4 we did at the very beginning. I also want to mention that you're just going to repeat that until you have less than 7 stitches. Until you have 7 stitches or less than 7 stitches. So in my case I do have 7 stitches, but if you have 5, 6, 3, 4, that's totally fine. So from here on, you're just going to chain your 2, and you're going to go ahead and slip stitch into the 3rd chain on the panel. So basically right into 1, 2, 3, you are going to go into that 3rd chain and slip stitch right into it. And right there you have your first row complete. For row 3, your second row, sorry, for row 3, you're going to chain 3 again. After chaining 3, you're going to go into this chain 3 space with 3 double crochets. After your 3 double crochets, you're going to chain 3 and go right into that chain 3 space again with 3 additional double crochets. We're basically repeating the same pattern we did for row 2, but this time around we are going into the chain 3 space. And this is what you should have after. Right after, you're going to chain 2, and right into this chain 3 space again, you're going to go with 3 double crochets, chain 3, and 3 double crochets all into that same chain 3 space. And from here you're going to chain 2 and just repeat the same pattern until you get to the end of the row. Coming to the end of the row, we are going to go ahead and slip stitch right into that 3rd chain. I know at the first row we did chain 2, but from now on we are just going to slip stitch into that 3rd chain. to end of the row. So you're counting from below 1 2 3 and right into the third chain you are going to slip stitch, and that is how you complete row 3. Yes, row 3. So for the next row, for the remaining rows, you're just going to repeat row 3, which is chain 3, and into this chain 3 space you're going to insert 3 double crochets, chain 3, into this chain 3 space again with an additional 3 double crochets. And this is what you're going to repeat. When you get to the very beginning, you're not chaining anything, you're just going to slip stitch into the third chain that we did at the very beginning. Honestly, that's what I'm going to do. So you're going to chain 2, and then when you get to this, you're going to do 3 double crochets into that chain 3 space, chain 3, 3 double crochets into the chain 3 space, chain 2, and repeat the same thing until you get to the end of the row. And I'm going to do this for 3 more because I need 6 at the very end, and I'll see you guys before we start the next step. So this is exactly what you should have after your 6 rows. Again, you're going to repeat row 3 until you have this length, and now we are going to divide the panel into 2 because we are going to work the back separately and then the front separately, because we obviously need to divide for the collar that is going to come at the front. So now what you're going to do is you're just basically going to align the panel. You're going to align your panel, making sure basically where we slip stitched this double crochet or chain 3 line is going to be at the center because of the back, because that is where the seam is, right? So you want to make sure that is at the center of the back, and you're going to align that and mark the 2 ends of this panel, because again, like I said, we are going to divide the front and the back panel of this pattern, right? So you're going to mark however you want it to be. So I think I'm going to mark this chain 2 space. So this chain 2 space is going to be the side. So I'm going to mark this and mark this side with a stitch marker. This is the back panel while this is the front panel. So we can go to the table now because we're going to increase at the back, just because we still want to keep the length, but now we're just going to work on them separately, and we're still repeating the same row 3. We're basically repeating row 3, but I'm going to show you how to do that when you're working from one end to the other end, because when you get to the side you're going to turn and come to the opposite side of the panel. In the 2 ends of your panel, we are going to start with the back panel. So what you're going to do at this point, your yarn should be at the center. You're just going to cut the yarn off. In your yarn off, you're going to reattach your yarn to where you marked, basically your stitch marker, right? So I'm going to take off my stitch marker in this case, and because I marked my chain 2, because that's the side panel, I am going to go into this chain at the extreme end. But if you marked this side, you're going to go into that center stitch, right? So basically wherever you marked, you're going, because this is chain 2 and not chain 3, I'm going to go to the edge of the chain 2, and I'm going to reattach my yarn with a secure knot. The attachment, you're going to go ahead and chain 1. After chaining 1, you're going to go into this chain 1 space with 3 double crochets. After your 3 double crochets, you're going to chain 3 and additional 3 double crochets again, all into that same chain 3 space. Something like this. From here on, because we have a chain 2 here, you're going to chain 2 and you're going to go into this chain 3 space with the same 3 double crochet, chain 3, 3 double crochet. And this is what you're going to repeat until you get to the center. To the center, remember we have a chain 3 at the center, which just indicates the way we end of the row from the previous rows, but we are going to still keep this chain 3 space right there. But this time around, again, chain 3 always means a double crochet, and we are going to just yarn over. So after your last set here, right here, you're not chaining anything, you're going to yarn over and go into the top chain with a double crochet. And from there on, you're not chaining anything. Right into this chain 3 space, you're going to go with your 3 double crochets, chain 3, and 3 double crochets all into that same chain 3 space. And this is what you should have. Right after, you're just going to chain 2 now, because you have a chain 2 here, and you're going to repeat this until you get to the opposite stitch marker at this point. So right here, coming to the stitch marker, what I'm going to do is just take off the stitch marker, because I already know that's going to be my last stitch. So to end of the row, you're going to basically go into that last chain 2. Basically, you know, we started with the last chain 2 at the extreme end, so we are going to go into the last chain 2 with a single crochet, and right there you just ended off the row. So because we're working on the back loop only, you're going to turn your panel around, because we're going to be going to the opposite side of the panel. So from here on, you're going to chain 1, and again repeat the same pattern by going into this chain 3 space with 3 double crochets, chain 3, and 3 double crochets all into that same chain 3 space. And you're going to chain 2, because right after you have a chain 2, and repeat the same process up until you get to the very end of the row. You want to keep in mind to actually insert a double crochet into the center stitch, just the same thing we did while we were coming to this upside, and you're going to repeat that until you have your desired length. So basically, continue to repeat this pattern over 3 patterns until the back panel is long till your desired length. So I'm just going to take the measurement for reference. It's currently 7 inches, and I think I want mine to be 16, so I'm just going to go ahead and do an additional row until I have a total of 16 inches, and I'll see you guys when I have 16 inches complete. Right here we have the panel. We are now going to divide this front panel, because we are going to be working on this separately. And to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to align this properly, and I'm going to count my stitches and my spaces. So right here I have my chain 2, and right here I have chain 2, so that's 1. Right here I have this set, that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and this right here is my center stitch. So right there I have a chain 2. I'm just going to mark that with a stitch marker, so I know that is going to be my center stitch. But because we need to leave a gap for the collar that we're going to do, I'm just going to grab the measurement tape and take the measurement between, because I'm looking at leaving this gap, but I want to take a measurement just to be very sure of what the measurement is. So right there it is about 2.5 inches, and I think that's fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a second stitch marker, and I'm going to mark the center stitch, grab another one, and I'm going to mark this opposite side. So now I have the center and I have these two sides, which means I'm going to start from here, end up by the blue, start from here, end up by the blue, and there is going to be an opening right there. After marking the side, we're going to start by reattaching the yarn on this side, right? But because our last stitch on the back panel falls right there, instead we're going to reattach our yarn at the center of this panel. So basically where the chain 2 is, right there is where we're going to reattach our yarn. Basically just reattach your yarn on any side. If you have this on the side, you're going to go ahead and reattach your yarn into that. Or if you have a chain 2 like I do, I'm going to reattach my yarn into the chain 2. From there on, I'm just going to grab the yarn and I'm going to chain 1. After chaining 1, I'm going to go into this space, chain 3 space with 3 double crochets, chain 3 and 3 double crochets all into that same space. And we're actually just doing what we did for the back panel. You're going to work your way to the stitch marker. So where you have chain 2, you're going to chain 2, and when you get to the chain 3 space, you're just going to insert your 3 double crochets, chain 3 and 3 double crochets, and repeat that until you get to the stitch marker. I'm going to take off the first stitch marker, and right into that chain 3 space, I'm going to go with the same pattern, which is 3 double crochets, chain 3 and 3 additional double crochets all into that same stitch, and you should have something like this when it's complete. So from here on, we have a center stitch. So what we're going to do is we're basically going to just chain 1 and turn, because we're going to be working to the opposite side. After your chain 1 and turn, you're just going to go into this chain 3 space with your 3 double crochets, chain 3, 3 double crochets, chain 2, and repeat that until you get to the very end of the row. And this is what you should have after coming to the end of the row. So from there on, all you're going to do is chain 1, turn, and repeat the same step until you have the same amount of same length that you have for the front, for the back panel. So I did 16, so I'm going to repeat this until I have a total of 16. I wanted to give you guys an update right before I move to the next step. So we have I have so I have my one side complete. Again, I did a total of 16 rows, just the same thing I did for the back, and this is what it looks like at the moment. I have not really attached both ends yet because I wanted to finish the opposite side before I do. So now we are going to go ahead and repeat the same step. The same step, the exact same step, you're just going to stop at the stitch marker. That's the reason why I marked both with blue, so you guys can actually see. So you can just go back to the previous row how we started this, and you can just repeat the same step for the opposite side. And I'm going to do mine, and I'll see you guys when I have that complete, because at this point we are like 65%, 65, 70. We have the two front sides complete, and this is what you should have. So you should basically have two separate front panel, and of course the back is just a full panel. So now we are going to attach these two sides together. So you're going to single crochet carefully, single crochet this for this panel to the back, and you're going to do the same thing on the opposite side with a single crochet. I just finished single crocheting this side of the shoulders together. And I just wanted to show you guys, just in case you are a beginner and you cannot get this done, but you're easily just going to just align the front, which is the side, to the back, which is the side. And I'm using a 3mm for this, by the way. I decided to use the 3mm because then it would actually give you tight stitches. So I usually like to start wherever you honestly decide to start. So you want to make sure you align this stitch and this stitch together, right? So because right here we have a double crochet stitch, and that is where we started with the front panel. You are just going to find the double crochet stitch on the side as well. So right there we have the double crochet stitch. So I'm going to insert my crochet hook right into that stitch, and on the front panel as well I'm going to insert my crochet hook into that double crochet stitch. And I'm just going to grab the yarn and slip stitch that and make a knot, sorry. And after the knot, I'm just going to carefully grab the yarn so I have the yarn on the stitch, and from here on I'm just going to go into every stitch on the front panel and every stitch on the back, and I'm going to single crochet the two. You want to make sure you align the double crochet stitch to the double crochet stitch, and then the chain 3 that we have at the center, you want to align with the chain 3 at the back. That way you are actually single crochet every stitch to where they actually should be single crochet together. So this is what you're carefully going to just do all around until you get to the end of the panel. And when you get to the very end, you're just going to chain 1 and cut off the yarn. And this is what you should have at the very end of the panel. So you should have this single crochet together, and you should have this side as well, single crochet together. So now you can put this on and see what the fit is, because then you can decide if you want to make this armpit area smaller or if you want to leave it at the exact measurement it is at the moment. So I'm going to do that, and I will see you guys when I have decided, and then we can start with the sleeve. So to get started with the sleeve, you're going to make a slip knot and chain a total of 16 chains. This is going to be how long the band is going to be around the sleeve area. So if you want this to be short, then you can do so, and if you want this to be longer, then you can obviously do so as well. After chaining 16, I'm going to go into the second chain with a half double crochet stitch, and just the same way we worked the band, I'm just going to go ahead and repeat one half double crochet into every chain from the previous row, and at the end of this row I shall have a total of 15 half double crochet stitches, because the additional one chain that I did chain is just a turning chain and not an actual stitch. And this is what you should have. From here on, you're going to chain 1 and turn, and you're going to work into the back loops again. Just the same method you used for the band. You're going to repeat one half double crochet all around until you get to the end of the row. And this is what you're going to repeat until the band is wide enough to fit around wherever you want your sleeve to actually stops. So if you want a long sleeve, you're going to make sure the band is long enough to fit here. If you want a quarter sleeve, is that how they call it? Then you're going to make sure the band fits right there. So I'm just going to repeat this, and then I'll see you guys when I have mine complete. Hey guys, so I finished my rows of half double crochet stitches. I did 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 16, 36, 37. I did a total of 37 rows, and this is just the right fit for where I want my sleeve to eventually actually stops. So now we are going to just single crochet both sides of the sleeve together, of the band. So I'm just going to turn this, and just the same way we did when we were attaching that at the very beginning, you're going to go into this stitch. So you're going to go into this stitch. I don't know why I struggle with my left so bad, but yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and go into this very first stitch and just do the rest of single crochet into every stitch, making sure I'm grabbing the same stitch and making sure you align both together the way you should. And this is what you should have. So I'm just going to turn this around and we are going to start a foundation chain for the sleeves. So what you're going to do for foundation chain, you're just going to chain one and single crochet um, around the side of the panel, which just one single crochet in every available space, making sure you're not increasing any stitch, or at the same time you are not decreasing by skipping any available space as well. So I'm just going to repeat that one single crochet all around, and I'll see you guys when I have that complete. So right after your first foundation row, you are going to switch from the smaller size to a 4mm, and now we are going to do an increase because I want the sleeve to be a little bit on the puffy side and not a basic straight sleeve. So if you don't want that, you can skip this method. So what I'm going to do to get that, I'm just going to go ahead and increase with 2 single crochet into every single crochet from the previous row. So remember we did single crochet around. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go into this very first one with an additional 1 single crochet, and from there into the next single crochet stitch I'm just going to go with 2 single crochet each. So you're basically going to insert 2 single crochet into every single crochet stitch from the previous row, and that is how you're going to have an increase for the sleeve. So do that all around and I'll see you guys at the end. Coming to the very end, you're going to just go ahead and find that very first. So you're going to repeat the same 2 double crochet into every stitch until you get to that very first single crochet you did for the second foundation row, and you're going to slip stitch into that stitch before we actually start the next mesh pattern. So for the mesh pattern, you're going to go ahead and chain 4 for the first row, and you're going to skip 4 stitches. So 1, 2, hopefully you guys can see it, 3, 4, and into the fifth I'm going to go with 3 double crochets all into the same stitch, chain 3, and 3 additional double crochets right into that same very stitch, and you're just repeating the same pattern we did for the panel. So basically something like this, and right after you're going to chain 2, skip 6 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and into the seventh you're going to go with 3 double crochets, chain 3, 3 double crochets all into that very same stitch, and this is what you're going to repeat until you get to the very end. After that, don't forget to chain 2, skip 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 into the seventh, repeat the same pattern all over again. Right here, coming to the end of the row, I have less than 7 stitches, so I have 1, 2, 3. You're basically going to repeat the pattern until you get to less than 7 stitches. So to end of the row, you're not chaining anything after this last one, you're just going to go into this chain 4 space, right into the third chain, so you're counting from downwards, 1, 2, 3, and into the third chain, you're going to go ahead and slip stitch right there. And this is what your first row should look like, just the same thing we did for the panel. So from here on, you're going to now go ahead and chain 3, so you're only chaining 4 at the very first row. From here on, you're chaining 3, and into this chain 3 space you're going to go with your 3 double crochets, chain 3, and 3 double crochets. And this is what you should have at the very end. So you're going to repeat this, chain 2, and into this next chain 3 space you're going to go with your 3 double crochets, chain 3, 3 double crochets. And just the same way we worked the pattern with repeating row 3, you're going to do that. When you get to this point, you're going to slip stitch into your chain 3 space and go all over again until you have your desired sleeve length. This is what your sleeve should be looking like. I did a total of 10 sets, so again, one of these is actually a set. And because I don't want mine to be super long, it currently just looks like this, and this is what I'm going for. So I'm just going to repeat the same step for the opposite sleeve, and you guys can see it's a little bit oversized because I didn't want it to be fitted, but you can obviously just keep the increase pattern that we did for the second foundation row. Then you will just have a basic sleeve and nothing a little bit, nothing wide actually. So I'm just going to repeat the other one, and we can later on attach the two and finish the piece before we get to the neckline and see what we can do there. But I love the way this thing turned out. To attach the sleeve, we are going to go ahead and turn this panel to the opposite side because you want to make sure you align the seam around the shoulders with the seam that you're about to create at the seam area. So you're going to find your double crochet stitch where you ended off your row, basically this stitch, and that is what you're going to align with the armpit area. So you're going to grab your double crochet stitch and align that with the armpit area. So you're going to grab your yarn, making sure you have the seam area outside. You are going to align your double crochet basically where you ended off the row on the sleeve to the armpit hole. So right here we have the front two sleeves, so you're going to find the center of that armpit hole, and that is where you're going to attach the double crochet area of your sleeve together. So you just attach that with a knot. If you don't have a yarn left, you can just grab a new yarn to do this. And I'm just going to go back with extra knots just to make sure this is secure. Right there I have my knot, so I'm just going to grab my yarn and we are going to now go ahead and single crochet around the edge of this panel. Very stitch, grab a stitch on the sleeve as well, and I'm going to go ahead and make a knot with the new yarn because this is what I'm going to be using to single crochet these two together. So you can see that the sleeve is bigger than the panel, and obviously that's because we want it to go, I want to go for a puff sleeve. So if you don't want to do this, then you're just going to it's going to be simple, you can just skip the step. But because my sleeve is way wider compared to my panel, I will be single crocheting one, just basically single crocheting multiple stitches off the sleeve onto the panel, just so I can be able to, at the end of the row I should be able to attach every stitch on the sleeve to the panel, right? So it just depends on what is bigger than the other. That's what I always say. So I'm just going to go right there and grab a stitch before I start with the single crochet. So I usually just like to chain one. I hope you guys can see exactly what I'm doing. So I have the sleeve here and I have the panel right there. I'm just going to go into every available space. So I'm going to go into this next available stitch and available space on the panel. So we don't have stitches on the panel because of the way it was worked. So we only have available spaces. So again, because my sleeve is way wider, I am going to just go into the next available space on the sleeve. But instead of moving to the next available space on the panel, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to go into that same available space. The goal is to insert at least 3 stitches into one available space on the panel, so that way I have enough space to attach all the stitches on the sleeve. And that is what you're going to do. Just take your time and single crochet that all around. Hopefully you guys understand what I mean by that, but that's what I'm going to do right there by single crocheting my sleeve to the panel. And I'll see you guys at the very end so you can see what it looks like. So this is the final look of how it turned out. I'm just going to cut off all the loose ends at this point so I can put this on tomorrow, and because it's always honestly already 8 p.m. so it's super late. But of course you guys have already seen what this looks like honestly. But I'm just gonna cut off all the loose ends that I have right now. I wanted to do something around the neck, but I do kind of like the way this sits at the neck, so I think I might skip that entire step. And yeah, I love the fitting, I love the color, and I cannot wait to wear this as much as I can with different okay, I need to sew this in. But yeah, this is the final look. Let me know what you guys think, and if you like this video, as always, don't forget to give me a big thumbs up and comment what you guys would like to see next. I am hoping to make a matching skirt for this, so that will be up in a bit, probably a few days. So I'll see you guys in the next video. She was from your past, silly of me to dream of one day having your kiss. Love is so blind, it feels right when it's wrong. I can't believe